Welcome back, guys, to another NASCAR DFS and gambling video. Uh, this one is at Charlotte, and it's the Coca-Cola 600, the longest race of the year. Last couple races for Xfinity and Cup, the last two races there at Darlington, really killed me. A couple things went against us there. Obviously, I went with the Toyota fade for the most part. And before Chase Elliott got spun by Kyle Busch, I was in the green. That sort of derailed that and allowed Denny Hamlin lineups and some Kyle Busch lineups to pop up in the optimal lineup. So it was a tough week in the Xfinity. I played a lot of cash, and it turns out one cash lineup was the most popular in the industry, and a lot of people played it. And if you didn't have it, you were screwed. So that took a big chunk out of the bankroll. But we're going to be back. I feel really good about this slate just because qualifying is 3 hours before lock. I feel really confident in my chart here to help me guide to the promised land. Yeah, so like I said, got to be aware that qualifying will be 2 to 3 hours before lock. Should be around 2:30, 3 o'clock when we get final results. So you have to stay tuned for that. If you're not already, follow me on Twitter at StillFlipBets. I'll be providing updates for you guys in terms of picks and what I plan on doing. And if you could just subscribe and thumbs up to help the channel. I'm trying to get 100 subscribers. Your channel really takes off from there, I've learned. And if you could just thumbs up, helps the YouTube algorithm as well. But with that being said, let's dive right into it and go over the Coke 600 salaries and just a little bit of stuff that stands out to me. I'm not really going to keep this video long at all. I just want to point out some things and really what I'm going to be looking forward to. So like I said, Coke 600, there will be qualifying, which is going to help us out tremendously. We'll get to see who has the speed right away, and we don't really have to guess for dominators, because if we get a guy on the pole that we really like, we can just hammer him if he's in a good spot. So Kyle Busch, 11,500. If you take a look over here, just take a look. The Charlotte averages, it is what it is. He's at the top of the list. Hit him and his teammate Martin Truex. So I'll just group these three really fast here. Truex and Hamlin along with Kyle Busch. Obviously, as you can tell, these guys top of the field here along with Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski. They're the top here at Charlotte the last 2 years. Truex won this race last year, I think. Something about Truex in nighttime. Truex and the Gibbs guys, I really wasn't a fan of this past race. But turns out, they tend to do better on the long run. So if history holds up, I expect that the Toyotas will qualify anywhere from 13th to 24th, just because I don't really think a lot of people are going to, put too much into a qualifying setup and then have a race setup. I think they're just going to come with whatever they got for the race and then qualify. And if that's the case, Toyotas have been unloading slow, but they have really good long run distance speed. And at the Coke 600, that's going to be very important for us. So Toyotas are very much in play this week. I expect them to qualify poorly, and these are the three right here. Although, I will say this, I think Truex is my favorite out of the bunch just because he's shown more speed than the average. I don't know what happened to him. He fell off there at the end of the last race, but on the long run, I think he might have got stuck on the inside on a restart. If memory serves correctly, they all got cut a lap down, they had to take a wave around, and that was ended there. But Truex is definitely by far the best Toyota in terms of speed this year. Denny Hamlin has been by far the luckiest of the bunch. He's lucked up into 2 wins. So there's that. I'd go Truex here if the qualifying results, if they're similar, go Truex. I mean, it's a $900 savings. I will not be playing a lot of Kyle Busch just because I don't think he can lead. He has yet to prove me he can lead a race. And I think at this price, depending on where he qualifies, I think you might just want to fare for Truex there. Next, in terms of salary, Kevin Harvick, top form. We can sort this by form, and you can just see here, he continues. These three right here will be a staple in my lineups just because they're the fastest week in and week out. It's going to be tough because you look over here at the 1.5 mile average, and he has been the best by far. But if you look here, Charlotte average, not been the best. Not been the best for Kevin Harvick in terms of results. So I'd be a little hesitant on that. Obviously he doesn't show the speed unless he's out front. I'm not sure how they're doing pit boxes, but that's something to keep an eye on how they're going to do the pit boxes. His 5x score, 56, compared to Kyle Busch's 57.5. Obviously, they're really close, and you want laps led here, or it's not going to pay off, obviously. We know that. So I'm not a big fan of Kevin Harvick this week, but like I said, if he just so happened to qualify first, I would definitely be interested. Let's go back to salary here. Brad Keselowski, Logano. We'll just group these two together. And Logano won at Las Vegas, and that's the most comparable track so far this year to Charlotte. I personally probably have over the field on Logano this week just because we returned to the meat and potato 1.5 mile track. We've been to Auto Club. While it's technically an intermediate track, it's not a 1.5 mile track. So take that for what it's worth. But Joey Logano, much better. The Penske guys are much better at these 1.5 mile tracks. We talk about intermediate tracks a lot, but the 1.5 mile tracks, Joey Logano by far seems to jump to the top more than the rest. He is very much up there, and he's 103.5 mile and a half average. I really like Joey Logano this week, and I think he probably might qualify top 5 and help us. If he just so happens to qualify on the pole, that helps us a lot. So I expect Todd Gordon and those boys to fix whatever that was going on at Darlington. They just weren't there for the most part. Joey Logano, obviously, you look here at Charlotte average. He's had some bad luck, if I remember correctly. So I wouldn't put too much into that stock right there. I definitely prefer Logano over Keselowski. Keselowski, he falls right in that range with Truex. I'd rather go to Truex there, pay the extra $300 or drop $300 to go to Logano. Yeah, I love Logano. Not so much a fan of Keselowski. Although he just keeps popping up there and being a pain in my butt. I will say that. The next 4 guys I'll just group together, and it's the Hendrick clan, and it's really interesting. DraftKings has finally priced these guys together, which would only point out the one obvious thing. These guys are very, very much similar in speed, but not so results. Byron Johnson have not put together results. Elliott didn't really put the results because he got spun, but Bowman, he ran over his air hose, and he got into the wall at Darlington. I still think he could have led laps. I still think he could have been a factor if he wouldn't have hit the wall. That really hurt Bowman there at the end of that race. Elliott got spun. He could have very well. He led laps. He was in, he was probably going to be in the winning lineups. I was in the green before that happened. Jimmie Johnson, William Byron on Sunday. The Sunday Darlington race, they both led laps. So you can't ignore Hendrick's speed, and they're at a discount to the Toyotas. All the Toyotas are bunched together, except Erik Jones and Bell and Suarez. But the Hendrick boys, they're all right there, and I really like that. I think if you want a more balanced lineup this week, it's risking it because I think one of these Hendrick guys might just mess up with the pole. Obviously, I think that's a very strong possibility, given the fact that they've unloaded fast. They're really fast on the short medium runs. Look, I like them all, and I think at this point, William Byron might be a little bit overpriced from what he's been able to do. As you can tell here, William Byron 70.5, 75.4. But like I said, these Chevys are going to have deflated numbers just because they haven't been up to the par of what the Fords and Toyotas have been in the last couple of years. So keep that for what it's worth. And Jimmie Johnson, like I said, this place used to be Lowe's Motor Speedway. He used to dominate this place. Don't forget about Jimmie Johnson. Like I said, qualifying position is going to dictate what I do with all 4 of these Hendrick drivers. Moving on, just some more things that I find interesting here. Erik Jones, 8,500. Look, he was leading laps until he hit the wall, and it tore his speed up similar to what Bowman did. So depending on where these guys qualify, like I said, I like all these guys. I don't really like Clint Bowyer here. Um, he's going to be like covered in between Blaney and Busch and Jones. But here's the thing. Let me just go ahead and talk about all four of these in this range. If you're going to rank them, it's Blaney, Busch, Jones, Bowyer to me. Blaney at 8,100. He led laps at Las Vegas. He led laps at Auto Club. And look, this guy was leading Las Vegas before caution came out. Let's not forget that. Ryan Blaney was super fast at Las Vegas. And you looky here, 93.5, 93.6. His recent forms fell off a little bit, but Ryan Blaney should be a non-K driver. That team had the most speed at the mile and a halves to this point this year, other than Alex Bowman. Ryan Blaney 8,100 is still, and he's probably going to be a staple in my lineups, depending on his qualifying position. Now, I could obviously see him qualify top 3, and then at that point, you're like, ooh, I don't know what to do. But listen, that team is a non-K team. And they've been super fast this year. They struggled at Darlington. But like I said, Darlington does not set up as a Ryan Blaney track. He does not like getting up against that wall. He just doesn't. He's a more get close to the wall but not right up against the wall type of driver. And I just think that if you can't run that one line at Darlington, you're going to struggle. And that's Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney is good at these meat and potato 1.5 mile tracks, as I alluded to with the Penske guys. It's just what it is. It is what it is. And I will have a lot of Ryan Blaney this week just because he's underpriced. And like I said, Busch, he returns. You look at here, Kurt Busch really saw it at mile and a halves. 8.7K. Still a fair price. He's probably a little bit more expensive than I'd like. But like I said, I would rate him second behind Blaney. But a $600 savings can mean a lot. Next range here we have 7.9 Tyler Reddick to 7.2 Matt Dibenedetto. So there's a lot of interesting guys in this range. Tyler Reddick was doing very well at Las Vegas. He was at a top 12, I think, before the last caution came out. He's very much in play. Tyler Reddick is super fast. The RCR number 8 car is really fast this year. Number 3 car, not so much. But Tyler Reddick is a great driver. Like I said, he outperforms what the car has. And that's how you know you're a really good driver. Depending on where he qualifies, them guys tend to qualify really well. So I could see him qualifying top 12 easily. And then he becomes sort of a fade to me at that point. But if he qualifies anywhere from 16th to 24th, Tyler Reddick's an awesome GPP play. Matt Kenseth, it's a long race. What's Matt Kenseth been doing lately? I could see this race just eating Matt Kenseth alive. Although Matt Kenseth's a veteran, he knows what to expect. Look, he's going to have to qualify really bad. I don't see him qualifying that bad with that number 42 team. I won't fade him, but I won't play a lot of him. I think you play enough to equal the field on him and pray that he just doesn't show up in the winning lineups. Aric Almirola, probably my next favorite play behind Ryan Blaney in terms of salary. Look, Aric Almirola is a top 10 driver this year. And if you think about that right off the top of your head, you're going to be like, what? There's no way. But if you go to form here, this doesn't lie. He pops up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Aric Almirola, 10th best in form. Look at these two guys. Cheap. Ryan Blaney, Aric Almirola, staple in my lineups this weekend. Aric Almirola, both these guys have similar numbers too. Aric Almirola has to get 37.5. Aric Almirola is normally a very good qualifier, but if he starts like 16th, it's going to be hard for me not to have a lot of Aric Almirola this week. The numbers just don't lie. He's been a solid driver this year, and he has solid Charlotte form. I think he might have won here, believe it or not. I think he might have won here in the 43 car, if my memory serves correctly. I'm not too sure on that, but back when he was driving for Richard Petty, I think he may have won this race. He might have been on fuel strategy, but I think he might have won this race. So like I said, Aric Almirola, great play. Stenhouse and Dibenedetto, this range I love. Last week I hated, but this week I love because I think a lot of people are underpriced this week. I think it has a lot to do with Hendrick getting bumped up in salary. But look, Stenhouse has only finished one race this year, and that was Las Vegas. And guess what? Las Vegas, I should say he's came in the top 20 once. That was at Las Vegas. Guess what? What did I just get done saying about Las Vegas and Charlotte? They're very good tracks to judge off of. Look, Stenhouse is 7,400. You're going to look at his game log and you're going to say, how can I trust this guy to finish a race? But just look at you. He is a very good driver at this place. 89.4. He was in the 17 car. So, look. He looks scary, I get that. But guess what? That's a top 20 car if he can finish the race. And I promise you, he is going to do better. He's got to do better. There's just no way he can continue to wreck. I promise you that. And at one of these races, he's going to pop up in the top 12. And to the lucky 12% people that decide to play Ricky Stenhouse, they're going to prosper off of it. The question is it going to be you? So in me, I'm going to look at ownership projections, and I'm going to say, well, look, if he's 15% projected, I'm going to go 30% just to have a stab at the field. That's what I did last week. I had 51% Stenhouse. That was not the move. Although he creeped up there, he almost reached value. He just got some trouble, got a lap down, and he could never recover after that. But the numbers don't lie. He's a very aggressive, underperforming driver, and you got to be careful with him. Next on the list, Matt Dibenedetto, and then I'll just talk about 2 or 3 more drivers. Matt Dibenedetto, let's call it for what it is. Another one of these Penske guys that does really well at the mile-and-a-half tracks. 7,200 is too cheap. You look at recent form, he's 83.8. That's just too cheap. I mean, he's a top 13 driver at these tracks, and he's priced way down the list. We just got to hope that he botches qualifying, and then this becomes a hammer spot, because he's going to have a fast car. Don't look too much at this. He was at the 32 car for 2018. Last year he jumped to the 95, and then this year the 21, and he's had much better results. And he will be a very important driver to me this week. Like I said, Dibenedetto, Almirola, Blaney. Those 3 drivers will probably be my highest owned, and then I'll mix and match the dominators. But look, it's going to take a top 5 qualifying spot for me to get off Matt Dibenedetto this week. Going down the list, Dylan, Chastain. So Chastain is in the 77. It's going to be a third Chip Ganassi racing car. Take that for what it's worth. Don't pay too much attention to this. He would probably need to qualify outside the top 23 for me to have interest in Ross Chastain. Not really sure what he can do if he qualifies inside the top 20 to make me pick him over some of these other guys. Chris Buescher really struggled at Darlington. Not sure that team knew what it was up to. Not really sure that's similar to Ryan Blaney. Chris Buescher does much better at the 1.5 mile tracks, meat potato track that I keep referencing. Look, this is a significant discount. He should be 7.4, 7.5. He keeps having these poor results. But listen, Chris Buescher, I'm not going to say he's a lock for a top 17, but depending on where he qualifies, 6.7 is a very good price for him. Christopher Bell, he finally finished the race, but that was due to rain shortened. Who's to say he wouldn't wreck there? Look, with the Toyota, long run speed, this is a long, grueling race. I'm not sure I like Christopher Bell in this long race, just because he's like Ricky Stenhouse. Them two have continuously shown how can they finish a race. It's a long race. I get that. I'm going to trust Stenhouse more than I will Bell here. Bell will be over. I'll be underweight the field probably. If not, I'll probably match it if he's not very high owned at all. Ryan Newman 6.5. I mean, this is another very good value play. I mean, he's Mr. Consistency. And when you think of a hard, grueling, tough race, you think of a hard, grueling, tough driver. And Ryan Newman pops up. He pops up on top of the list for me in terms of hard, tough driving. 6.5, it's similar to Buescher. Listen, they're top 17 cars at a track like Vegas and Charlotte. It just is what it is. Take advantage of these prices. That's all I can tell you. And then we go down the list. Nemechek's a little bit probably more pricey than what I want to pay. Bubba Wallace continues to run in the top 20. I don't get that at all. If he qualifies 28th, just gobble him up. Take the price savings. Moving on down here, the usuals. And for me this week, I think the top 3 punt plays, other than Brendan Poole, if you look at these 4 guys right here, they should be at the bottom. These 3 should jump up. If you just so happen to have to play one of these guys, JJ Yeley, look at the 41.3. That's pretty damn good form for 4,700. It's almost to Suarez's form at 6,100. So I like all 3 of these guys. JJ Yeley probably pops to the top of my list. Quinn Hua finally finished a race at Darlington. He provided some good value, but you didn't really need it. Not one of the races this year has a punt play, which I call punt plays, 5K and below, 5.2K and below. Not once this year has that been in the optimal lineup, so take that for what it's worth as well. But I would rank them JJ Yeley, Greg Auld, and Quinn Hoof in that order. It's going to be interesting. You could probably fit more of these top guys in here, or you can, maybe run a bunch of these balanced guys, plug that guy in, and, jump back up to this 9-10K range. It should be interesting, but like I said, qualifying is 2 to 3 hours before lock. You'll have a 3-hour window. For me, I'm going to pop mine into a roster generator, and I will play my percentages and then edit on DK. That's just what I do. But that 12K contest looks very, very juicy for me. I will probably go all in on that this week, depending on how I like qualifying. I think qualifying is going to dictate a lot for me. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a rough stretch there, the last 2 Xfinity and Cup race. But like I said, follow me on Twitter at StuffFlipBets, and please, if you could, subscribe and thumbs up to help this channel out. Like I said, I need 100 subscribers, and then it just takes off from there. And if you thumbs up, it really helps the YouTube algorithm. If you guys enjoyed that, please be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. Or if you got any questions, leave it in the comments, and I'll answer quickly as possible. Like I said, we will rebound Sunday. We will all have green screens, and I hope you guys take care.